All right, looks like we're live. Let me just do a quick refresh to make sure it's all pulling up nicely. But I want to welcome everybody. Thanks so much for coming to class this morning at 11 o'clock. There we go, there's the refresh. Awesome. So yeah, thanks guys for showing up. I hope everybody is doing well. For today's painting, this is a request by a viewer and they wanted a tornado. And I've also had many requests for landscape paintings, so this kind of combines two of them. So what you're looking at on the screen is the outline for what we're going to be using today. And I do recommend that you pause the video, draw what you see on your own canvas, and then continue the video into the painting portion. If you do not want to do that, after the live feed, I will upload a traceable with this image on it to my website, and you can download that traceable and then you use carbon paper to transfer it. And the traceables are really good for my first time painters to kind of get that initial composition on the canvas before you start painting. And it takes away some of that stress and frustration at the beginning stages of painting. So whichever option works for you, do that. And I am reusing a canvas, so I don't know if you can see at home, but there is a little hint of another design underneath there. Please just focus on these solid black lines for our design today. And I will be using a brush, and we're going to start with kind of a more bluish sky background here. We will put green grass, and then we'll do shades of kind of a bluish gray for our tornado and our clouds, and then possibly some shades of gray for our house, and we might put a few trees in there. But it is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you guys can follow along. So, hey Matthew, thanks for joining us. No worries. Glad that you can join us whenever, and I hope everything with your family improves or gets a little bit better. So sending you guys some love. All right, so again, this is Paint with Lovejoy. Thanks for joining me today. Having this schedule on a daily basis has been keeping me sane. So I really appreciate those of you that join me at 11 o'clock or even catch the replay. So for our background, we're going to start with the sky, and I'm going to start with a light blue sky. And you can make your shade of light blue any shade that you want, or if you want more of a grayish sky, you can make your shade of blue and then add a tiny amount of black to it, and that's going to diffuse it and make it a little bit more moody. I still like bright colors, so I'm going to stick with kind of a brighter background, some bright green, and then we'll do shades of gray in there. So as you are applying your paint with a brush, try a few different brush strokes. You can kind of use the full width of the brush. You can turn it sideways for a little bit skinnier, and then my favorite one, literally slapping your brush on there and taking out all your stress and frustrations. And right now, I actually don't know anybody that is not stressed out about something at the moment. So painting is a very, very therapeutic outlet to have. So even if you don't like your painting at the end, just the fact that you're going through the process of painting and moving something around on the canvas is to your benefit. And it's nice just to kind of zone out and do something different rather than what has been occupying your mind for so long. All right, so on this one, I will be going over those black outlines. So you can bring your paint right up next to it or completely overlap it. And with this video and any of the videos that are on my channel, you do not have to use just paint when you are completing the video. If you want to do this with crayons, colored pencils, markers, pastels, pretty much anything that you have at your house, utilize and just use this video as a guideline. It does not have to be perfect, and it does not have to be with the materials that I am using. So I encourage, a lot of parts of art is actually just making the best of the materials that you have. And if you only have colored pencils, you can still complete this. All right, and if you're making your shade of blue 2, 3, 4 times, you are more than welcome to not stress. When you mix your color a second or third time, if it's a slightly different shade, that is to your benefit. So don't bring the stress level to getting something, the color perfect. For my first time and beginner painters, the more that you mix your color, the more your brain is taking in that information and the easier it becomes. And you are building knowledge library in your head each time that you paint. Your brain's taking on the information of what it took to mix this color, the pressure of your brush, how you applied it. And you will notice that as you paint, you may learn something in your first painting and second painting, and then when you paint for a second or third time after that, stuff you learned in your first painting will make more sense. So painting's never about being perfect, but maybe doing a little bit better or learning a little bit more than the last time that you painted. And if you are painting along with me or not painting along with me, just take a deep breath right now, relax, let it all out. This is not the news. This is hopefully something a little bit more enjoyable, but just take a big exhale. Feels good just to do that. All right, so now I'm gonna make a little bit darker shade of blue. So I want you to go 1 or 2 shades darker than what you were just using. And just for the sake of showing you, I'm gonna make this a little bit of a moody color. So I am actually grabbing a little bit of that black, and you can see as I mix it with that blue, it kind of becomes a grayish blue, and this can kind of mute or tone down our colors. And I'm taking this color and literally just slapping it right on top of my background. And then with light pressure, just gonna be moving that grayish blue into our background. And you will notice that it kind of mixes with the background. It diffuses the color a little bit, so you can always reapply it, and if you need to, you can reapply it darker. And should you overlap the houses or into the cloud area, don't stress. Acrylic paint does dry in about 15 minutes. So if you paint something that you don't like, just let it dry and you can paint right on top of it again. All right, and since we do have a tornado going, I'm gonna make it a little bit moodier and actually put way too much black on there. So I'm gonna wipe my brush off. We're gonna pull some white and some blue. There we go. All right. Yes, and Matthew, you were the one that requested more landscapes. So for my schedule next week, I think I have at least 3 or 4 landscapes on there. And then today's was definitely the double because somebody wanted a tornado and then you wanted more landscapes. So if anybody's catching this on the replay, please feel free to leave a comment about things that you want me to paint in the next 2 weeks. I am keeping these kind of simple paintings just because I'm trying to complete them in about a half hour. And maybe after this kind of picks up pace a little bit, maybe I'll do some longer demos. But I actually have quite a few new videos I need to edit for you guys, so that way I can release new videos on the channel. All right, so do get your background to a place that you like it. And if you are familiar with my teaching style, you know that I recommend taking progress photos. So I would recommend taking a progress photo here, and then we're gonna move down and paint the ground. We're gonna do kind of a moody grayish green and yellow. And then we'll move into shades of gray for our cloud area. Oops, forget that the water makes the table shake, and I don't want the camera to shake. All right, so for that ground, still I'm using a small flat brush, and I am on an 8x10 canvas, so I'm rather small on the canvas today. So if you are painting with a larger canvas, feel free to use a larger brush, or again, just utilize what you have at home. So I am doing about an equal parts yellow to green, roughly a 1-to-1 ratio. Yours may be a little bit different. Green colors actually come in a huge variety, and especially between different brands. So your green may look a little bit different than what I'm using. All right, and again, if you're using student grade paint, I do recommend that you apply your paint a little bit thicker, because generally student grade paint is a bit on the transparent side. It is what I'm using today since my channel is more for first time and beginner painters. And student grade paint is really nice to kind of give an intro to painting at home or painting on your own without breaking the bank and buying a bunch of expensive materials. So make sure that you like painting first before you dive into some of the other materials. And then maybe if you want to try other materials or artist grade paint, move up just kind of one color at a time. All right, so now I'm actually grabbing just the straight green. We're going to do a little bit more of that wet on wet blending method. And I am using light pressure as I'm introducing this new color into the ground. And we do need to give a little bit of a shadow where that tornado is. If you feel like finger painting, this is usually a great spot to finger paint when you're doing that wet on wet blending. And again, I want a little bit more of a moodiness, a little bit more of muted colors on my ground. So I'm pulling that green aside, and again, a small amount of black I'm going to mix with it, and a little bit of my yellow is getting in there. And same thing, we're just going to put a little bit more of a darker neutral shadow in here. All right. All right, it's looking good on screen. It is nice to kind of see it from a distance. So as you are painting, get in the habit of propping your painting up and then walking 4 or 5 feet away and look at your painting from a distance. This is the normal viewing distance for most things in life, let alone artwork. And we do tend to like it a bit more from that distance. So don't be upset if you do like your painting more from a distance. All right, so we're gonna move into the clouds, and I'm gonna put kind of a really light gray on here, and then we're gonna get darker gray with maybe a touch of blue, and then get really dark here, kind of up in the, that top right-hand corner. So again, a little bit of black actually goes a long way to make our light gray, and I am just going for a light gray. And literally maybe try those X marks, you're just slapping it on there, filling up that space. I'm actually going to grab some more white. If you're ever buying paint, you will always go through probably double the amount of white than any other color. And as a teacher, I literally buy 4 times more white paint than anything else. All right, so again, making that light gray. And if you have to mix it a second time and it's a different shade, totally okay. And if you need to, you can grab one of the smaller brushes, grab what is comfortable for you. But I'm really proud of you and grateful that you're painting at home and taking some time out of your day to hang out with me for a little bit, whether you're here live or catching it on the replay. Ooh, violin. Hi, Jen. Nice. Yeah, I'll throw that on the list for next week. That should be a good one. All right, and here you definitely want to kind of make sure that some of the edge of your clouds overlaps your blue sky. And in doing so, you're going to fully cover that traceable, that black paint that may still be on there. I did mine with a Sharpie marker right before the video, just so I could have it done and so you guys could see it at home on the screen. If you need to move down to that small little pointy brush as you get into the funnel part of our tornado, or if you're using the medium brush, you can use a little bit lighter pressure to create those small lines. And again, you can see that I am going right over those black lines, filling it up, and we're going to make sure that the tornado is touching the ground. All right, so again, if you're taking your progress photos, another good spot to take a photo. And we're gonna make for a darker gray. And again, to the right-hand side of our tornado, we're gonna get kind of heavy-handed with the shadow. So we're gonna start light and just go darker. So again, grabbing a little bit more of that black, going about 2 or 3 shades darker than what you were just using. And going back to kind of that dotting method that we did in a demo a couple days ago. It does help with the blending and just makes it a lot of fun and very stress relieving just by kind of literally stabbing your canvas with your brush. If you picture something else in your head while you're doing that, that is all you. But please just take any frustrations, any stresses out on your painting. It is much healthier to take it out on your painting than to take it out on another human being. And again, I'm just kind of stabbing my painting, stabbing the paint in there, making this kind of pointillistic style blending. And at home, all I want you to do is just kind of observe the places that I am putting this darker color and mimic that to the best of your ability. It does not have to be perfect. Just the general area, and it is amazing how much our eyes fill in the details. And we go, oh, that's a landscape with a tornado. The sentiment that less is more is very, very, very true in the world of art. All right, and on the right-hand side of the funnel, we're going to put that gray shadow, because again, by having the shadow on a distinct side, it tells our brain where the light is coming from. And when we have the shadow on the right-hand side, it means the light is coming from the left-hand side. And we will be putting white in that area a little bit later. All right, and I am going to move down to the small pointy brush. I'm going to grab a little bit more of my original light gray or kind of an in-between color, and we're going to get some gray on these houses down here. Again, covering the black outline. If you want to do this in solid black and have just a bit more of a silhouette for your house, feel free to do that. Same with the ground. If you don't want the green grass and you just want that black, feel free to switch it up. No matter what you paint or whether you switch it up or not, please email me photos of what you paint. Your pictures, your feedback, your support really is the biggest thing that is keeping Paint with Lovejoy going. So let me know how you're doing. You can email those to me, paintwithlovejoy@gmail.com, or tag me in any of the social media feeds. And it would be @ or hashtag #paintwithlovejoy. All right, so still with the small pointy brush, I'm going to make a slightly darker gray, and we are going to add a touch of shadows to our houses. And again, just kind of mimic what you see, the shapes that I make on here, just mimic those on your canvas. All right, and again, wiping that brush off and just using that light pressure, blending that in a little bit darker. And I may turn these solid black. I think the silhouette might look a little bit better. All right, but before we do that, let's put some highlights on our little tornado. And I am going with that dark gray. It's actually more of like a medium gray, but it's dark considering that we're using light grays in our tornado. All right, let's put a little bit down here. And if you're noticing that maybe you make your color on your plate and then when you apply it to your canvas, you go, ah, that's not dark enough. Feel free to adjust your color because we do interpret our colors based on the color that's right next to it. So when you mix it on your plate, it may look one way and then it looks totally different when you put it on your canvas and it's next to another color. So in the world of art, don't be afraid to adjust moment by moment, really. Good portion of art, like I said, is just utilizing the tools and the skills that we have on hand and making the best of what we have on hand. All right, and now I'm actually grabbing some pretty dark gray, but because we're blending it into a wet surface, it is diffusing rather quickly. And if you feel like putting extra colors in your tornado or anything, if you want to throw some cows in there or some trees, like I said, please make this your own and have fun with it. All right, and now I'm actually going to grab a little bit of that black. I'm going to go back to the house. Just going to do a little bit of separation and I will blend it in. Go. Gives a little bit more to the structure. All right, and then wiping that brush off so I'm not actually applying more paint, and then just using the tips of the bristles, softening that edge where that dark gray meets the lighter gray. And like I said, this does get more comfortable with more practice of painting. All right, so I'm going to clean the brush. We're going to go with white paint, and we're going to put some highlights on our tornado. All right. And hopefully everybody is having an awesome April Fool's Day. I tried to do a few April Fool's jokes to a couple of my family members this morning, and I sent them a message saying that there's been a cure for COVID-19 and the economy's bouncing back. And each one of them just said, ha ha, nice April Fools. So I'm still hopeful for that on a much quicker basis than what may actually happen. But I hope everybody at least finds some stuff to laugh about today. So now I'm actually using just that straight white, and again on the left-hand side of our funnel and our tornado, I'm going to be adding some highlights. And because we are putting this on gray, and because you're possibly using student grade paint, I do want you to kind of glob this white on there so it's a little bit more bold compared to just a little bit that's going to be mixing in with that light gray. So like I said, our lighter colors, when we do the wet on wet blending, do tend to get eaten up very quickly in the underneath layer. So with your whites and your yellows, you actually just have to apply them a little bit thicker. And as I'm moving it on top of some of the darker areas, I'm not actually moving my brush too much. It's actually just more like I'm kind of placing it on there, maybe smushing it a little bit, and then grabbing more paint and going to another section. Again, this lighter color will diffuse and mix very quickly with the other colors underneath. And if you're using student grade paint and you are applying it kind of thick, it will not keep that consistent or that thickness. It will start to flatten out just a little bit as it dries. All right, and maybe let's just put a few little highlights on the house. Let me go back to the small brush. It has been very interesting the last 2 years where I've been doing all these paintings, and I am painting on such a small scale. I am actually used to painting quite large, like 2 foot by 2 foot, 4 foot by 5 foot. So these 8 by 10s and 11 by 14s are definitely pushing me out of my comfort zone, but it is pretty cool how much I'm learning and how much I get more comfortable with it. And in the world of professional art or creativity, learning to kind of push yourself out of your own comfort zone is only to your benefit. Same with life. The more you can kind of step outside your comfort zone and learn something new, you will develop a new comfort zone. And then you'll want to learn something else after that. All right, so let's actually put a few trees. I know most of tornadoes do happen in what they call tornado alley, where it is very flat and allows the conditions to be correct for a tornado to form, but I still want some trees in there. So I'm actually gonna make them kind of dark. I'm gonna go back to that green and black mixture. And I did add too much black. That's gonna happen, especially if you're a first-time painter. You're getting comfortable with your color mixing. So all you do if you made it too dark, just make a new pile and adjust it from there. All right, and keeping with that stabbing method, we're gonna put some Bob Ross happy trees in here, kind of hanging around the houses. If you want a few more, maybe some bushes. But add what you want. Maybe let's have some other little random tree over here. And I'm going to give it a bit of a stronger horizon line, just cleaning that up a little bit. See, so you will notice that sometimes you paint something and you think you're finished with an area. It is okay to go back to that area and work again. All right, so not bad. And still kind of kept this one at about 30 minutes. So let me know in the comments below if you're enjoying the 30-minute videos or if you would like me to push for some a little more detailed, maybe a little bit longer. And I'll work on getting those into my schedule. And yeah, so again, thanks you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Just by watching the video, that's super, super supportive. So please feel free to share my videos with your friends, family members, anybody that is stuck at home and needs something creative to do. And then when you'd like more involved or more in-depth classes, jump on over to my website, Paint with Lovejoy, and check out a few of my more in-depth courses like the palette knife or the Paint Your Pet. As always, any questions, send me an email, leave a comment, and I hope everybody has a fabulous day. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me. I will see everybody tomorrow. Cheers.